If you're thinking of getting chickens for the first time or increasing the size of your flock, we'd like to introduce incubation to you because it's a very easy process, and in this video we're going to demystify it for you.
Hello, welcome to English Country Life. My name's Hugh.
And my name's Fiona.
And we run a small holding here in rural Lincolnshire. And today we want to spend a few minutes talking to you about incubating your own poultry. It's a subject that a lot of people find very scary, but it doesn't need to be. It can save you a huge amount of money.
And it can give you access to a whole load of breeds and rare breeds that otherwise you wouldn't be able to buy.
It really isn't anything to worry about, and if you give us a few minutes today, we're going to talk you through why that's the case. It can even improve your chicken's welfare.
So let's just expand a little bit on why you might want to incubate in the first place. And one of the biggest draws is that it's going to save you money. A good breeder will sell their hens now in the UK for around £30 to £50, depending on whether you want a hybrid or a rare breed. And really, that's the price you're going to pay now from a reputable breeder.
At least. And this is actually one of the things Fiona just touched on there about the rare breeds is they also may be the other end of the country. We've had people come to us in Lincolnshire from Wales, from Devon, and probably the cost of the journey is as much as the cost of the hens at that point, even if we have them available. One of the joys of incubation, you can usually get fertilised eggs sent by post, so you get access to breeds that you couldn't otherwise get.
And actually you've got the opportunity to control the friendliness of your chickens. And I know that sounds a funny thing to say because there's an element of nature depending on the breed you've got, but from a nurture point of view, if you're there when that chick is hatching out of the egg, it will imprint on you. And then the more time you spend with it, as it grows, the chicks will become friendlier and happy when they're older to be picked up, to be handled, and they'll run to you as soon as you go anywhere near them. It's great.
It's fantastic. And as well as having a super friendly flock that's sort of imprinted on you and knows that you're the source of all good things, you can control the timeline with an incubator. I mean, so often people contact us and go, I would like a Buff Orpington hen, and we either go sold out for the year, they're not ready yet, because we are a small holding, we have limited numbers available and it's very difficult. But again, fertilised eggs, you pick the time, you can choose when to hatch them, when to have them, around your holidays, around your work commitments, around when your children want to be involved in the process. It really does put all the control back with you.
And if you're a regular viewer to this channel, you'll know that our primary means of incubation actually is the broody hens which we have here. So those are the Buff Orpingtons. But we use artificial incubators alongside the broody hens. It gives a great support to them. So the broody hen will sit on a number of eggs and we'll have a certain amount in an incubator alongside. That takes a lot of pressure off. And on hatch day, it means that we have an incubator ready. So any chick who's got into trouble coming out of the egg, and this happens all the time, we can pick them up, put them in the incubator and actually give them one-to-one attention and help them out of the egg.
If you decide you want to look into incubating, the equipment involved can seem a little bit intimidating, but we want to demystify that for you. You need 4 things, that's all, right? You need an incubator.
Fairly obvious, really.
They come in different sizes. The smallest that we stock does 7 eggs, the largest we stock does 56 eggs, but they come in huge sizes if you really want them, anything up to sort of 500 eggs or more if you're a commercial hatchery. What the incubator does is basically 3 things. It, most importantly, digitally controls the temperature. You need to keep your eggs at the right temperature for them to develop properly. It's about 37.5 centigrade. The other 2 things you need to worry about are humidity control. The egg needs to lose a bit of moisture as it develops, but not too much. That allows an air sac to be created inside the egg for the chick to breathe as it's hatching, but it doesn't allow the chick to dry out. The other thing is the eggs need to be turned frequently, and the higher models of all the incubators have automatic turning. The eggs need to be turned 3 or 4 times a day as a minimum. As I say, the automatic ones would take care of all of that for you.
And this is a useful bit of kit as well. This is what we would recommend. It's called Candler. And it is the equivalent to?
It's an ultrasound for eggs.
I love that phrase. I think it's wonderful, but it doesn't use sound, it uses light. And all it does is you pop your egg on this black plastic cup, turn on the switch, it shines a very bright light through the egg. And what that does is it allows you to check on the development of the chicken inside, because you can actually see through that bright light what's going on inside the egg. And if your chick isn't developing properly, there's lots of images out there on the web which will show you what it should look like from day 0 through to day 21. But if it's not developing properly, those eggs can be removed, because eggshells are porous, and if your chick has stopped developing, it can actually start to rot inside, give off noxious gases and affect the other eggs. But actually, this then becomes an invaluable tool, really good bit of kit.
It is. You don't need to worry too much about it. I mean, we candle the eggs probably twice during the whole development.
Yeah,
Once
day 7, day 14.
Yeah, round about there, it's fine. Third thing you're going to need, once your chicks hatch, is somewhere to keep them. You can't just leave them on the living room floor. They'll run away under the sofa, they'll get lost. You need to keep them in something. What do we use?
We use an old tin bath, actually.
Yeah, you don't need anything totally sophisticated. We do have some click together units if you've got nothing, but honestly I've seen a good job done in a cardboard box. One of the cleverest things I ever saw was an old collapsible playpen for children. It had nylon mesh sides, it was washable, it could be folded away when it wasn't used, and I think somebody picked it up off Free Cycle. You know,
Yeah.
It's really clever bit of kit. Most people could improvise something suitable.
And you do need to duplicate the most important job that a broody hen would naturally do, and that is to keep the chicks warm. And that's what this is. This is a brooder plate, which is also known as...
The electric hen. Isn't that a better name for it?
And it's called an electric hen because naturally what a chick would do is would burrow under the down feathers of the broody hen and get as close to her skin as possible to keep warm. And this has a plate underneath which actually heats up. So the chick can duplicate that behaviour by crawling underneath and getting close to the warmth. And this one, and all the brooder plates which we sell, have adjustable legs. And what we'd normally do is have one set of legs allowing the brooder plate to be very close to the base of where we're keeping the chicks, and one set of legs high up so that the chick can then find its own level and choose actually where it's not going to be too hot or get too cold. And they work really well and much safer than the old-fashioned heat lamps, aren't they?
They are, and they consume a lot less electricity as well.
And you might be looking at all of those products and be thinking, that looks really complicated. But the reality is, if a chicken can do this, we can do it, and you can do it too.
Absolutely. My mother had me tested. I'm nearly as clever as a chicken. But if, like me, you're one of those people who kind of needs to do your research in advance, there is a book that I would recommend. It's called Hatching and Brooding Your Own Chicks. It's by Gail Damerow, and honestly, it is a fabulous resource. It's got, you know, the step-by-step guides. It's got all the kind of detailed stuff, but it gives you a great overview of the process. And then when you're actually trying to do the processing, you're trying to think, what temperature do I need to set my incubator to? Any of those kind of detailed questions, this book will have the answers. You know, what should my egg look like inside at day 14? There's a picture in here that will tell you what to do. It's available from Amazon or good bookshops.
And we like to think our YouTube channel and our UK online store is different to others. If you're not sure, just ask us. If you're worldwide, pop your questions in the comment section and we'll answer as best we can. We've probably got a video to answer the question. And if you're browsing the products in our store and you're not sure, just use the contact form and ask us. One of us, not a call centre, one of us will get back to you via either email, phone call, or possibly even a video conference.
And that applies to whether you're thinking of getting equipment or whether you're in the middle of incubation and you've got a question like, what should the turn interval be for my eggs? Or even, I've got an egg that's hatching, it's not going well, can you give me any tips and tricks about what I can do about it? We are here to support you wherever you are, whatever stage you're at in your process. Right about this point, the question that's always in my mind is, well, all right, what's all this going to cost me? Let's start then at an entry level. So a small incubator holds about sort of 7 hens' eggs, manual turning, digital temperature control. It's going to cost you round about £90.
But we would recommend actually upgrading to a starter kit, because that covers all the equipment we've just talked about, plus a small drinker and a feeder for your chicks when they actually hatch out. And they retail for around about £180 for an entry-level version.
Now that may sound, £180 quite a lot, but let's go back to, what's a decent point-of-lay hen going to cost you?
Now we said it was going to be between £30 and £50, so let's take an average of £40. That means if you buy the starter kit, hatch 5 hens, and the entire setup is paid for. And don't forget, at the end of that hatch, you've still got all of the equipment. At that point, you've got a choice. You can either use it for your next hatch, and that means that you've already got it, you don't have to pay for it again, or you can resell it. And if you buy a good make like Brinsley, they hold their value.
Absolutely. Now, don't just want to talk to you about an entry-level kit. If you wanted to move up to the next step, so you want something with automatic turning, with a larger capacity, so 24 egg capacity with automatic turning, the full kit is going to cost you round about £300. But again, you think about that, if you hatch 10 hens, it's more than paid for, you're into profit. And these things last, they really do. Brinsley offer fantastic support in the long term. They're still supplying spares for incubators they haven't made for years. And I know people who are using incubators that are 20 and 30 years old and they're still going strong.
And we've been using them for over 10 years now.
Easily,
haven't we?
yeah, and they look brand new.
Yep. So let's have a quick chat about our top tips for incubation.
My top tip is get a bigger incubator than you think you're going to need.
Yeah.
If you buy a 7-egg incubator, the first thing is you're probably only going to put 6 eggs in it. Why? Because that's how they're sold when you buy them. They're sold by the half dozen when you buy them through the post. And the other thing is they're probably not all going to hatch. So you've got a 7-egg incubator, but if you're expecting to get 7 chicks out of that, you could well be disappointed. If you step up to say the 24 egg size, you don't have to fill it. In fact, it's really advantageous to have extra room inside your incubator. So when the chicks start to hatch, they've got plenty of room to stretch, they're not crashing into each other. It's a much, much better way of doing it.
And the other thing is you've got chicks toddling around inside, and you've got other chicks still trying to get out the egg. And toddling around chicks can actually knock the eggs that are still trying to hatch.
So extra room is a good thing. The other thing is chicken math applies. You start off going, I'm only ever going to have 3 hens.
Never works like
that.
that.
You go to sleep, you wake up in the morning, you've got a flock of 50 out there. So having something a little bit larger really does kind of future-proof you, as well as providing more space for the hatch process and allowing you more flexibility.
A second top tip is upgrade, if you can, to auto turning. And why? Because those eggs do need to be turned regularly to prevent the chick from sticking to the inside of the egg. They need to be able to turn around during the hatching process. And trust me, 21 days of manually turning those eggs in an incubator it becomes wearing, doesn't it?
You know, unfortunately, there may be that day when you just can't be there to do it. It can be a real problem, and it's not much money to go up to the incubators with the auto turning, and it's
well worth it.
It really, really is. The third thing is think about where you're going to site your incubator. You don't want the internal heating element to have to work too hard. And I honestly think unheated outbuildings are not a good place for incubators. You want them indoors in a relatively warm environment, although not too hot. You don't want them in direct sunlight because that sun coming and going can radically swing the temperature inside the incubator. So you want them in somewhere that's a little bit shady. The other thing to think about is there is a fan, which is going to have a little quiet background hum, and then when it automatically turns, if you've got an auto-turning incubator, you will hear the motor. Now, we keep ours in the living room. It doesn't bother us particularly. But if you're the sort of... I certainly wouldn't put one in a bedroom, for example, because it would wake you up every time, certainly every time the motor went off to turn the eggs. So I think that the ideal place for them would be somewhere like a dining room if you're not using it every day, spare bedroom, somewhere like that's perfect.
Yeah.
I hope that's reassured you that even if you're not an experienced chicken keeper, incubation really isn't anything to worry about. There's 4 fairly simple bits of kit. We have a range of videos on the subject, so we're happy if you leave us comments down below and you want to know more, we may be able to link you to an individual video that covers what you want to know. But if not, go onto our website, englishcountrylife.com, hit the contact us button and we will sort you out with whatever information you need.
But don't forget that key phrase, if a chicken can do it, we can do it, and so can you. If you have liked today's video, take a moment and give us a thumbs up down below. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, come and join us, hit subscribe with the bell icon, completely free service, and you'll be notified every time a brand new video goes live. And if you've got a question for us, don't forget, put it in the comment section and one of us will be back in contact with you. But for now, thanks for watching and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Take care.